In this section, we're going to talk about exam requirement objective 6.4, design a disaster recovery strategy. Primarily, we're going to talk about the ways that you can perform backups. One way you can perform backups is called Azure Backup. You could also use the System Center Data Protection Manager. We talked about that a few sections ago and the various options you have for System Center. Let's talk about Azure Backup. Now, Azure Backup is a very straightforward piece of software that allows you to back up your systems from your local premises and encrypt them and send them to the cloud. Azure does not charge currently for data into the cloud. And so sending your backups nightly or however often you want to send them does not cost you for the data in. Now you will have to pay for the application and you'll have to pay for storage, but the size of the data doesn't impact your bottom line. You can do full backups or incremental backups. And the really neat thing too is you can do a file level restore. So if you do need to restore a file or a set of files, you don't need to pull down the entire backup and then restore it somewhere and then to go grab that file. You can just go and say, I need this file. So it's more of a traditional backup software, the kind that you might run at home against your home PC to be able to copy files into the cloud and then pull files down as you need. Now, Azure Backup runs on using a vault. And so you need to go into Recovery Services and create a backup vault. Microsoft recommends that you choose a different region. If you're doing backups of VMs in the cloud, well, don't put your backup in the same region as the services that you're backing up, because if the disaster happens at the regional level, then you're likely to lose both your VMs and the backups. You may find that question or asking you on the test about how to do restores. To do a backup, you create vault credentials instead of passphrase. And so to restore the backup, you're going to be using those vault credentials and you're going to have to know the passphrase in order to restore the backup. There are limits with anything with Azure. So always go to the Azure service limits page to learn, but there's a limit of 1.7 terabytes per volume. So if you're backing up a particular drive, you can't just do 3 gigabytes all at once. So plan accordingly. The other important piece of this we were just talking about Azure Backup is the Data Protection Manager. It's a System Center component. Now this is more powerful, more full-featured. You are going to run this as part of System Center. It supports something called bare metal recovery. So you can imagine that it's actually running such low level within Windows that it's able to back up not only data files, but it just sort of can do a backup of a whole system image, and then you just restore that image and be able to run to the state of the computer at that time. Now it does require other things to be installed, agents, and when you're doing something like this, you can't just remote in from a server and do bare metal backups, so it requires things to be installed. Data Protection Manager, you can install it on premises and manage your Azure applications and manage your local servers, but you can also put a VM within Azure and have Data Protection Manager running purely against Azure. This applies to both Data Protection Manager and Azure Backup, but all Azure storage accounts have a limit of 500 terabytes. So if you're planning your backing up of all your servers and all the things within your network, not only do you have data issues like trying to send 500 terabytes over the network, I don't know what kind of network speed you're going to need in order to send that much data, but there is an upper limit to the amount you can store in one storage account. So deal with multiple subscriptions or you delete the backups after a certain time.